So I have another Reddit story, and I think it's good to get different perspectives when it comes to magic. Especially, I found this group where people are talking specifically about the Gallery of Magic books, and I'm really enjoying reading what people have to say about it. So one, another one that I found here is it says, "What do you think of the Gallery of Magic?" And there are 18 comments. So let's see what it has to say about it. I understand they are considered entry level to a degree, also perhaps controversial in terms of efficiency. Some works like Success, Wealth, and Magical Destiny seem quite unique and have pretty incredible stories, but again, they are controversial. Just wondering what people think, and I especially hope to hear your stories about working with it. Yes, I like to read stories. So it says, they particularly irritate the people who have been slaving away doing it right, whatever that means, especially edgelords and basement magicians. I've had about 75% success with anything of theirs I've tried. That's pretty good. And then they replied, "This is absolutely right. There is such a bitter attitude about the gallery from the old guard magicians. Like, sorry, pal, you had to spend years walking across the country. We now have a fast train service." Time goes on, and so does magic. If it works, it works, and the Gallery of Magic works. Simple as that. Someone here says, "Foolish Fish on YouTube has an amazing video about them, and I agree with him. It's great for people who need to get their foot in the door with magic. It makes it approachable and easy, and that works on our modern distracted minds. I own one of their books, but don't use it. I prefer poring over old tomes like a hermit. Ha ha ha. I also don't like that they don't explain the etymology or resources of their spells and entities." Another reply. "So far, I've had great success with the Magickal Cashbook, and I've only done 2 rituals from it. I started with magical protection and did the master ritual every day for 33 days. I also used the remove parasitical entity ritual. I frequently use the sword banishing ritual, and honestly, I feel great. Better than I felt in a long time after doing all of this. I don't mind that they're vague on the details, as I haven't seen anyone talk of negative consequences in their experiences of using these books. The general opinion is that it is safe and it works." Another reply. "They are indeed people speaking of negative consequences. Search in magic forums, in Goodreads, Amazon, and other sites of book reviews. One guy did the Magickal Cashbook and got the exact sum of money from insurance after being run over by a car. Plus, I own 2 of their books and never open them because they give me bad vibes. Just my subjective intuition here. But many people seem to like them so." I also spoke with a currently living, well known, and respected occultist and author, Jew, and probably one of the most expert in the field of Kabbalah and Quabbalah. I've never heard that word. Who wrote one of the book sources they used for magical protection. I asked him about Yohak and Kalak in their sword banishing, And he said that they use them out of context and that the visualization are not right. Excuse me, are not right and completely their invention. He also said other things in the book are used in a way that is not correct and might create problems for the readers. I personally avoid their material just to be safe. Then we got another reply. I'd be curious to know the sum of money here. The Magickal Cashbook is designed for smaller amounts. I would think that an insurance claim for being run over was way above what the MC was intended for. I've heard of people getting negative results when they disrespect the spirits. However, the MC contains a line that explicitly states that no harm should come to yourself or your loved ones. I'm not sure how a spirit could override that request. Another reply. Indeed, that's why I said the general opinion is that it's safe due to the fact that these negative types of experiences you refer to are in a very small minority for which I couldn't give an answer as to why. I always like to read reviews of the books before I buy them to see what the general opinion is on the various sites you mentioned, notably Amazon and Goodreads and Reddit. I've personally read of people's negative experiences in other forms of practice, such as witchcraft and Wicca, where it's similar to what you wrote, and again, it is in the minority. Maybe the people having these experiences are not sufficiently protected and cleansed and are susceptible to influence. Personally, never had an issue with Yohak and Kalak. Every time I do the sword banishing, I instantly feel uplifted, pure energy rising within, and that's no exaggeration. Another reply. I've had decent success. For me, I finally like having things that are more spontaneous, not the manifestation, the rituals. I like having words and sigils. And they don't cite anything because they know most don't care about the details that don't have an impact on the magic. They are based in the UK and have access to assorted private collections in addition to their own. Also, the group is larger than the authors. They also work with occultists outside GOM. Another reason they don't share every detail in their book is so they have a point of reference when coming across new works and innovations and can also fact check claims. They are not opposed to sharing with the odd individual that is genuinely interested on their level, but for the scholarly knowledge of the boring bits. I don't recall which book the author addresses the matter. It's either Brand or Blackthorn that explained. Someone else says, I like them. I've got several of their books. Just did 2 rituals before I logged on here, actually. Edit for more detail. Currently working through Success Magick only on Ritual 3, and I'm taking my time in the month or so of doing it. I have identified what seems to be my calling for the first time in my life. It's kind of obscure. Found a way to get involved with it, and it's just kind of flowing along without much effort. During one of those rituals, I felt compelled to also add in the Master Money ritual from Magic Riches. Only done a few days of it, but I received $1,500 from a family member, and that helped me profoundly. I've also used their sigil work in the past for some pretty cool and fast results. Someone else replies, I merely read through a spell from a magical seduction book and an ex called me that night. I texted her and she said it was a mistake and told me to never contact her again. But we broke up like 6 years ago and it was her who contacted me. Wouldn't call it a success, but what are the odds? It's pretty funny. And someone says, Love Magic is infamous for failure or worse. I've never done any love magic. Maybe I should. Not surprising, but thank you for commenting. So far, I've experienced good things from my purchases from GOM. I got 72 Angels of Magic, Magical Servitors, Magickal Cashbook, and Masterworks of Chaos Magic. So far, I only got positive experiences with those books, though I only use Cashbook once in a while. Another reply, I think the GOM rituals can work for anyone, beginner to adept. They are perhaps considered entry level due to lack of explanation and citations. As an academic, I find this a little irritating, but as a magician, I like that I can dive straight in and learn from my personal experiences. I've had near instant success with around 90% of the rituals I have tried. The other 10% are taking a little longer. The Gallery of Magick say not to declare it a failure until 1 year has passed. I find their best magic is concerned with changing the self so that you become the person that is capable of manifesting your desires, a view that aligns with my own. I decided to try the GOM stuff because, according to my own magical theories, it should not work, i.e., I don't understand Hebrew, so it shouldn't have an effect. But the fact that I have had so much success by just blindly following instructions and observing symbols that I know nothing about shows me that there is more to this magic stuff than I initially thought. And I definitely need to update my theories. Someone says, I would like to know more about them. Okay, someone else replied, there are many schools of magic and magical systems. In regard to GOM, my system is better. And somebody says, which? And they said, not exactly. I prefer the term. Somebody here said, which, like which one? And they replied, not exactly. I prefer the term sorcerer. So they thought they were calling them a witch, you know. They didn't call them a witch. They said witch, like which one. But, pretty much what I read here, again, a lot of success. I guess a lot of people, like I mentioned in one of my first videos when it came to the Gallery of Magick, I was introduced to magic by the Gallery of Books, and I started working with them over a year ago. And I started working with the protection, with the sword banishing, and then I did the Magickal Cashbook. And I've done the Magickal Cashbook 3 times, and it has worked in a period of about a year and I don't know, maybe 5 months or so. And I have also worked with the 72 Angels of Magic. I did a couple of rituals with the Demons of Magic, but I didn't like it. So, like when it comes to the Gallery of Magic, yes, it is a way that you can start working. Like if you read the book in one sitting, you can start working magic. And a few hours from now, if that is what you wish to do. So it's very simple to work with the Gallery of Magick. And I guess for a lot of people that have put a lot of time and effort and energy in learning, in like the etymology and the citations and the bibliography of things, and learning about like the Enochian angels and about the Goetians. Like when people really want to learn about this, they just have to, like find the resources to do it. But I think that when it comes to the Gallery of Magick, they just put everything in a very simple way. If you want to start practicing magic in a couple of hours, you can, and it doesn't take much. So I guess for a lot of people, I remember when I started meditating um, 13 years ago, I was really like going after my meditation teacher. I didn't know he was a meditation teacher. I just knew he was a very wise teacher. I didn't know it was meditation. And I was chasing him like a 5-year-old, like I was after him. I was going after him and I was like, please teach me, please teach me, please teach me. And he kept saying to me, I don't teach Westerners. And I was like, I don't care what he says. Like I persisted so much, maybe for a few months. And finally, he gave in. Finally. And when he gave in, I was so ready to start learning. I didn't know what he was going to teach me, but I was ready. I had notebooks, I had pencils, I had colored pencils, I had pens, I had erasers, I had rulers. Like I was prepared for whatever. And pretty much what he said to me is like, listen, you have to get up at 4 a.m., 4:30, sit up, close your eyes, and breathe. And I was like, what else? And he's like, that's it. And I'm like, no, no, no. What else? And he's like, that's it. And I kept repeating myself, what else? And he's like, that's it. So it came to the point that my meditation teacher was like, why do you guys have to complicate everything? And that was a lesson for me because, yes, it seems like we need to like strive and we need to like grind and we need to like make things difficult for us to think that it works or that it is worth it. And sometimes when things are too simple or too easy, we tend to think they are invalid or they are a scam or they don't work or this is too simple or it's too good to be true. So if you are someone that is looking into like getting started with the Gallery of Magick, I would say give it a go. I would say start with the Protection Magic book and take your time. Like someone said, do your practice on a regular basis, and then as you do, it will get easier and you will become better at it. Um, I believe, yes, as a practicing magician, that it is too easy. And thank God, because I want to see results and I want to make sure that the time that I'm putting on a ritual is paying off. And maybe that's why I have continued to work with the Gallery of Magick, after a year because I have seen results. If I had not seen any results, I would have, put them to the side and continued looking for something. So if you are curious, I would say be open minded, be open hearted, and, you know, um, if you are a skeptic, that's your prerogative. I respect that as well. But, for some people it works, and for some other people, maybe it doesn't work. I haven't heard, I mean, I've read a few people that it didn't work for them, but the majority of people say that it has worked. So, in my opinion, it is worth it. And I think I have all of their books, but I haven't done most of them. I have worked with the works of Chaos Magick. I have worked with the 72 Angels, the Demons of Magick, the Magickal Cashbook, and the Protection Magick. I haven't done the 72 Sigils of Magick, or I haven't done any of those. But it is my intention to continue working with those. So I hope this helps, and thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Namaste.